Hello everyone and welcome to another War Leader PvMP video. Today I'm going to talk more about how my whole theory regarding hunters and lore masters has actually panned out in practice. I'm also going to talk a little bit about group composition and some stuff that I've done with that tactically and such for dealing with the challenges presented in Update 5.1, now Update 5.2 because this has taken so long to get out. I would have had this video out sooner, but when I was actually editing it, I wasn't happy with the amount of content that I had in this video, so I went ahead and pushed it back. I'll talk more about that later, but just keep that in reserve in your mind while we go ahead and get this party started, alright? First off, TA Lawn. And on TA Lawn right now, we've got 3 war leaders, 2 reavers, and we are making a mess out of this place. We've got triple bubble for the reaver, so he's got 45 seconds of bubble time available to him, roughly. I think one of them might have a 7-second bubble.
Alright, I got bubble now.
But basically, this Freep group, which is about 10 or so, they had basically been having the run of the lawn and getting away with whatever they wanted to do until we actually got ourselves fully organized with Post Office leading the charge.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a very good, very aggressive reaver. And as soon as that happened, more guys came out of the woodwork and blew up the creeps like nobody's business.
Couldn't have done it without your reaver expertise.
That shows the power of reavers right there. Alright, so here we are. Continuing on with the reaver power, group has grown a bit bigger in size, and right now we're pushing up at TR. I'm walking around over here just sowing a little chaos because a lot of these guys are trying to run away and back up to the keep itself, get away from us, something like that. But I didn't want to get too close there. Unfortunately, one reaver did get a little too close to the door. They turned around and blew him up very fast. And that's the danger of relying on reavers as your primary firepower in a raid in this particular update is reavers die really quick, especially when they come under fire from hunters and lore masters. And so you really gotta watch out for that. Now, unfortunately, this group of freaks in front of us, they're roughly our size, maybe a little bit bigger, and they've got critical mass of hunters and really ranged damage, well, plus tactical, and they can actually blow up our guys very, very rapidly. See, right here, I'm trying to get over to keep Post Office up. Didn't realize that that was a 7-second bubble. I thought I had a bit more time. He goes down before I can even start to get the bubble off, and so that really is messed up our entire strategy there. Blunted our attempt to push into them and get them to fold so that we could get away, and now we're forced to retreat because they've managed to hold off our one strategy and we don't have any depth. There's nothing else that we can really do because all we've got is a couple reavers, a spider, and some wargs, and so our tactical options are fairly limited. So now I'm going to be calling for a tactical withdrawal, and they're going to be setting up and firing out the range damage. Now, ordinarily a fighting withdrawal works pretty well. The problem is we've only got one spider. We've got nothing that we can use as far as being able to throw damage at them to keep them backed off while we try to create a little bit of distance, get some mobilizers up, and start disengaging from the entire fight. Instead, they're able to just keep moving forward and shooting at us the entire time, and that's just not going to work out well for us in the end at all. As you can see, Post tried to push up, put some damage and pressure on him. He got annihilated. I didn't see him going, didn't get any bubbles thrown at him and stuff, and he just exploded before we even knew what was happening. So obviously they've got critical mass. They can blow up a reaver just like that.
Start focusing heals on Warlord. He's got Captain.
Right there, I go ahead. I noticed that he's got the Captain marks, so it gets healing focused that way before he takes a whole lot of damage. We've got some very good healing available. The problem is that, as I said before, we can't push them back because we've just got the one spider. So they've, although we can make a lot of distance, we've covered probably 120 meters since we started falling back. Maybe getting close to 200 now. I'm just estimating, but there's nothing else that we can really do except keep walking away and trying to heal, and they just keep attacking us. And
yeah,
it's just not going to work. The Reaver pushes forward, trying to do some damage to him, get him to back off, but it's just too little too late right now. As soon as he comes under focus fire, he's gone. Can't even do anything about it.
Start to focus fire.
Alright, we've lost at least half of our group. I think some of them have already released the Lugs res, and the rest are going to be going down very shortly here. Warlord's getting focused. I'm also starting to take some focus fire, although I believe Warlord's going down faster. Yes, I got the bubble there, so he's going to go pretty quick here. And that's what happens when you don't have any depth to your group. The Reaver Fist strategy worked very well during Mirkwood, and it could work well in Mirkwood as just like, this is our primary group, and then we've got more guys, and here's how we go. And it works well in a situation like this, where you've got fairly even numbers going on, and your opponents don't have anywhere to fall back to that they can have as a stronghold strategically. The other thing is, when we went in that last fight, we got strung out at the start of it, and took some casualties we really shouldn't have. That one Reaver who got a little too close to the door and got blown up, etc., etc. For this situation here, we're able to utilize the terrain a bit better, stay grouped up, and take the field in this case, but we still lack the utility to actually be able to push onto the bridge into the hunters and do anything about that. But now I've picked up Shazlock. Shazlock is a fellow raid leader. He's a good Black Arrow. And very soon I'm going to be forming a second fist for our raid here. I've got a strong Reaver group set up with the 2 War Leaders, 1 Defiler, 3 Reavers. I love to specialize a Reaver group like that. Very strong, very powerful. They can do a lot of damage, but it doesn't have the depth. I mean, it's a good right hook for your raid, but you need a strong left as well. So I'm going to be making a ranged group to be that strong left for our raid, and also give us some tactical depth so that we have something else to fall back on.
Bubble is ending, get into the next one right now.
Because see right here, our attack has fizzled out because we lost our primary bubble Reaver. Our next strategy is bubble the next Reaver in line, but we don't even get to her in time, so it just doesn't work. Alright, so here we are. Now we've got our range group set up.
Alright,
the strategy is very similar to before. Reavers go in first, got a lot of support coming behind them. But then you've got this second group that is the range group.
Everyone push right into them. Black Arrows and Spiders go to the end of the bridge. Stop there, set up your firing positions. Alright, let's go.
Yeah, see, where I said right there. Second group, that's the range group, comes in. They're going to set up as the initial charge of the Reavers goes up, and then they're going to start blasting away. And while the Reavers can do a fair bit, they can't really carry the day by themselves the way they could back during Mirkwood in a raid versus raid fight. It works well in small groups, but once you get up to about half a raid size, it just doesn't work anymore. Reavers die too fast, and there's all the kiting and stuff. Thing is, you try kiting a Reaver with some Black Arrows set up nearby, that's going to go badly for you.
There's a range set up in the middle of the camp so you have decent firing.
Okay, so we're going to mop up the camp right now. We basically just set up inside of here, go to town, kill every Freep, then we go ahead and kill every NPC, but unfortunately I cannot record all of that. Now the problem that I mentioned at the beginning of the video with not being satisfied with the content, here's the problem. On this particular night, I stopped recording after this because of lag issues. You can already see there's a little bit of stuttering in the video that's going on, and the lag just got worse for me as the night went on. So I didn't record because I couldn't afford the frame per second loss that was going to happen to me at that point. And so even though we had a lot of good fighting and stuff, and I could talk about that, and I did talk about that for one commentary that I tried to record, I just wasn't happy with it because it was me talking with a picture there for a long time with nothing to see. So instead I went out raiding again and got some actual footage so that we could actually see this kind of group composition with a ranged group and a melee group going after hunters and lore masters first in action. In that first fight on the lawn is
good job. We got
not only did we put the post office in there and keep him bubbled the entire time, but we had him wipe out the hunters and lore masters.
And she's out.
Once we got those guys down, even though we lost our bubbles after a very long time, enough the Freeps had already gone down that they couldn't take him out with the healing.
And good finish on that rider.
So we were able to just finish up the whole thing. Same thing with this push here at the bridge. We took out a bunch of hunters right at the beginning. Everyone else started running for the hills, and that was it. Alright, so here we are on the extra footage. As you can see, you don't have quite the same level of a Reaver group set up. We're missing a War Leader and a Reaver there. I have another Reaver off in another group, but I'm keeping him out of there just because I want to keep these Spiders a little bit extra buffed on this particular night. I believe that that guy has a command post.
Yeah, let them go. That's the small group that's mostly a bunch of people.
Now,
who also
what happened
play
right there
Creep,
is
so
I started recording
I'm
because
really not that worried
we got
about them.
reports that Tirith Ra was under attack,
I'm more worried
spotted
about
those
the
guys
guys
under
that I think
left,
have set up
went
in the
after
front
them.
hall.
Turned out that's not the main group.
No, 'cause there's two
after all,
different
that's a
groups
group
at
of about
least.
6 or so that are out here. Some of them
I
are
think
under
we've got
level.
another group that's set up
We wiped them
inside
out
TR
anyway, but
proper.
that
There we
wasn't
go.
really the target I was looking for, so I'm trying to get us moving fast. Alright, there.
Yeah, see,
Outside
outside
tire
tire
room is called. So now we're going to make our way inside of here and kick the Freeps out of TR. Alright.
Yep.
Now, group composition-wise, if you notice in my ranged groups for both of these, basically 4 ranged guys, 1 war leader, 1 defiler. War leader has
We're
command
gonna go
posts.
up to the
This
top
because
4,
this
set
group is not
ourselves
going to
up,
take the level of full
and
fire
just
that a
kill 'em
reaver
all.
group is, so you can get away with only having 2 healers in there, and the healers will even be able to throw heals towards other groups as well. But it also means that with the command post war leader, you can stack more guys in there, and more of them will benefit from the plus 3% damage.
Let's do this.
Plus, I mean, you throw down the command post, that's a visual cue for all the guys in that group. Stand near the command post, you're by the healer, and you're getting extra damage. Sets up a little bunker there on the field that's very easy to identify, and makes a strong point for you to fight from.
They're bailing out the north.
Freeps have all jumped out the backside of Tirith Ra, or on their way out already.
They're gonna turn around
So
and kill you as soon as you jump down.
they've abandoned this fight, and I decided not to pursue them at this particular moment, because I don't really want to try to jump into the middle of them. I think it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, don't.
Okay, everyone come with me.
Now
We're
I
going to
form up
jump
the
out
raid
the
with
other
me,
side.
and we're going not to the door, to the ledge that they jumped out of, but right here. We're going to see what they decide to do. So we see them, they're going by, so we jump off.
Alright, jump off
the
right
entire
now.
raid's with me, so this is a perfectly
Coming right to the
executed
middle of them, take them all
drop. We come down, there's 6 or 7 guys right here, and we're going to just wipe all of them out right now. Now, also notice, a lot of the guys that are here, we got a captain, multiple minstrels, and that's really all that was in this particular section of the raid when we dropped down. So that means that we found a bunch of healers, and we're about to wipe them out. This is a fantastic way to start off the fight, kill a whole bunch of their extra healing power, and then go after the main force of Freeps. Really couldn't have gone better than that.
Alright, this is good. We've taken out most of their...
Alright, main Freep group is coming back around.
Yep, they're all coming back around toward... Okay, turn around. It's time to start
I
taking
call
out
for us to
hunters
turn
and
around. Unfortunately, most of us are on the other side of the wall right now, so I'm a little bit alone over there. I do start moving over towards my group here.
Double downstairs.
Alright, now I'm trying to set up the command post, get my range going. Unfortunately, we're targeting minstrels right now. Minstrels, they're never a bad target per se, because wiping out healers is always a good plan. The thing is, I really want to be taking out lore masters and hunters, because we've got a bunch of hunters and lore masters set up, and they are firing with impunity. That's not something I want for the Freeps to be able to do, especially with those classes, with the amount of damage that they do. I want my black arrows firing with impunity, taking out their guys that wish they were firing with impunity. Because you wipe out their massive damage potential, that allows you to stabilize your own raid. Your healing can keep up with the amount of damage that's getting output, and then you can wipe them all out.
Right in the middle.
Our captain.
Unfortunately, my target assistants are still going after this one minstrel. Dagger is one of the better minstrels on the server, and he's also very good at staying alive and continuing to heal while he stays alive. He was doing stuff like that back during Moria and Mirkwood. He's been doing it for a long time. So he's really not a good target in this situation because he's taking a long time to kill. He's still not dead yet, and we're starting to take casualties. We don't have a whole lot of healing available in this raid, so we have to make kills, not waste a lot of time trying to take out a target that's not dying.
Nelly's still alive, she's healing.
Start focusing on their major DPS guys. We take
now
them
I want to get
down.
us focused into the hunters.
Dagger's right here. Back here behind the rock healing.
I have a hunter on target, Kalisa. We need to drop this guy.
I'd call for the hunter target. As you can also tell, some of the raid numbers are talking about minstrels. Minstrels have been the target of choice for a long time, the Etmors. The thing is, they're really not the target of choice anymore. Hunters and Lore Masters are so much squishier than they are, because Minstrels have bubbles, they've got the flop, they've got a lot of ways to keep themselves alive, whereas Hunters and Lore Masters just don't. Plus, they've got pretty poor mitigation levels.
Guys, we have the res right now. Go.
Yeah, if you're dead, release.
Release and come back.
Alright, and go ahead and retreat. Go back to the res because it's close by. About half the raid retreated with me right there. So we should have had people coming back from the res earlier on. I kind of forgot about that. I was focused more on trying to keep people alive and get us focused on targets that were going to sway the outcome of the fight more decisively than shooting at the minstrel that wasn't dying. But anyway, now we go again. Alright, now we did all release en masse, so we're fairly grouped together, but still, I want to get them formed up more tightly, because coming back in straggle and strung out is going to cause a lot of problems.
I need to grab some fair pots.
Alright, over here we got a couple of minstrels on the side.
Okay, on our left there's
I'm not totally sure if these were the ones that were doing a lot of the resing in that last section of the fight, but even so, these are guys that would be potentially hanging out on the edges, tossing their out-of-combat res and bringing, half a raid back up before you even notice them. That's a very big danger with when minstrels are hanging off on the sides, is they will get in there and they'll start resing 5 at a time, chain resing, and it can be very hard to overcome that if you're not set up and focus firing very well.
Alright then.
That said, I mean, if you can take out Hunters and Lore Masters quickly, got good focus firing going on, then you're going to be able to handle that, because they res, it's just more targets and more infamy for you. But you've got to have a group that's really on top of things for that situation to actually materialize that way. Alright, it's been called out there on the Tyrant right now, so we're working our way in. Right in front of us, there's that small group from earlier, plus 1.
Okay, we got some down on the bottom floor. Let's take them out.
You can see that missile right there is level 68, so some under-leveled people here. Now, this little delay right here has allowed the entire raid to catch up right now, so we're all formed up finally, and we're all moving back up. It was good that we didn't completely wipe in that last round of the fight. I think almost half the raid made it out of there alive and managed to scatter a little bit or get inside the keep. I'm not totally sure where they went, but still, far too many of us went down because we didn't get set up right. But we're going to fix that this time.
Alright, time to take them out.
Go ahead and drop Banner of Terror. That's going to keep the Tyrant alive.
Remember, even if the Tyrant goes down, the fight is not over.
Fight is not over. That's because they do have to go to the flag room, and I fully intend to make them pay for this keep in blood if they manage to drop the Tyrants. And actually, if we get set up properly, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to wipe them out even in a flag room fight, because honestly, the major problems we had in that last round were just we didn't get the proper targets focus fired fast enough, and instead we let the hunters set up and go after us with impunity for the most part. And the other thing was we got stuck moving back and forth between the wall there, which really threw us off because healers lost line of sight and stuff.
Come on, keep it up, we're doing.
But right now Black Arrows have set up, and this is where Black Arrows really shine, is when they get set up like this, have a command post, have some healers keeping an eye on them, and then also that are also throwing out heals and stuff towards other groups because the range group is doing well. The Reavers are in front, absorbing most of the attention, most of the damage, also getting a lot of the healing. But the Black Arrows are in the back doing a ton of damage and doing most of the killing, because you can try to kite the Reavers, but it's just going to leave you an open target for the Black Arrows.
He may be their healer, but he's not keeping them up. Targets of opportunity, don't let anyone get.
And now we've got a full wipe on our hands of the Freeps, and this is all going to be cleaned up in the next 12 seconds probably, and Tyrant is still alive.
Oh, he's gonna die.
Excellent work, everybody. That was
And
well
at the
fought.
end there, I go ahead and toss some positive encouragement out to the raid, just because that's something I've learned to do over my time leading raids. It helps you with building momentum, just because you tell your people that they're doing well, that you're happy with them and stuff. It gives them some confidence, and you go into the next fight, win or lose, oftentimes, and you're more likely to do better, just because people understand, okay, we're doing pretty well. We've got this, for the most part. We lose a fight, it's like, all right, we did really well there. Here's what we need to fix. Go at it from a positive angle. That helps and such. The other thing it does is it does make people more likely to join your raids and happier to follow you around, because you toss out positive encouragement. That feeds right into the human psyche that enjoys that whole thing. And I'm always happy to do that. People need some encouragement in their lives, and if you get it from the internet, fine. That said, I cannot in good conscience let this pass without saying that if you go to the internet for your primary source of encouragement and positive feedback, you're doing it wrong. Getting positive feedback, encouragement, etc. from the internet is all fine, well, good, and dandy, makes things happy and fun, but it's a supplement. It is not a self-contained and sufficient package of itself. You need to get that from real life, and you can add in from the internet as well, and that's perfectly fine and happy and healthy. But on its own, getting that from the internet is not good, because it's just not substantial enough. I'm sure most of you know that, but I had to say that because my conscience would not allow me to let that pass without saying anything there. All right. So a lot to think about there. As you can see, when you do get the proper focus firing down on squishy glass cannons like lore masters and hunters and really good runekeepers, it's very effective. That fight at the very beginning of the video with post office on the field there, the first thing we had him do was go after some of the hunters and lore masters, and he tore right through them, got some kills, and that was the encouragement that was needed to get the other people to come out there. Once one Freep has dropped and the Reaver is still going, then that tells everyone, oh, we've got this. So they all came out, and then the whole thing really was well in our hand, because a lot of their burst damage had been taken out very rapidly, and then there was a whole lot more of us all of a sudden, so game over. And then the other thing is just raids in Rise of Isengard for monster play have to have more depth. The amount of damage that gets thrown around means that melee on its own just doesn't cut it anymore. Melee on its own never really cut it anyway, but you cannot rely on melee as your primary strategy. You used to be able to do that back in Rise of Isengard. You could form a strong fist out of Reavers and have them be your real pushing and killing power. It just doesn't work anymore. They don't have the killing power and survivability they need to have to really do it. Reavers, when they're alive, they're close to having the killing power that they really need to be able to pull it off. It's the survivability that's got them, and most of that is just due to mitigations. They just take so much damage that it's impossible to keep a Reaver alive when he's being focus fired, aside from chain bubbling. And the chain bubbling works really well, but it can be disrupted so easily. War Leader's just standing a little bit too far back, misses his bubble, gets stunned, fires his bubble off too late, and the animation takes a little too long. There's just a lot that can go wrong there. So it's a very vulnerable strategy to rely on, which is why I'm integrating a lot more ranged group components in there, because a ranged group is a lot more stable in Rise of Isengard than the melee group is. Black Arrows still have plenty of health and decent mitigations, not as much as a Reaver does, but still pretty good. But then the other thing is, as long as you got something else up there that's drawing a lot of the fire, they're not taking a whole lot of damage, but they can sure put out a ton of it. As I mentioned when I talked about why I added some more, there was some good fighting on that one night. One of the things we did was we went back and forth between Lumber Camp and the Spider Fort for probably 3-4 rounds trying to take the place. But during some of those fights, we lost our entire melee group except for like one healer or two healers. But those healers were able to just turn and focus on the Black Arrows who were set up, and we'd already taken out a couple hunters, a couple Lord Masters and stuff, and the Black Arrows could finish the fight for us, carry the day after the melee group had gone down, because we'd already put a bit of a dent into our opponent's burst damage, and then with extra healing focused on them, they're able to stand up underneath the firepower focused on them, but they can return just as well, especially against the squishy classes, keep making kills, keep taking some ground, and force the Freeps to back off and disengage. Then you can get your dead up and go at it again. Okay, well, that is all for this time. Ugmog is out.